Or are we? Do we have a video to play?
Maybe.
Or are we rolling right into it?
Let's roll right into it.
All right. Well, welcome, Casey.
Do we have a video to start with?
I don't know.
There we go. We do have a video. Let's do it.
The insurance industry exists because there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. We're all gonna leave, and we're all gonna leave people behind, and those people are gonna need certain things. We as agents get to be the group of people who stand in the gap. Where Symmetry shines is that we have found ways to engage with people who otherwise would not have this conversation.
You have to first and foremost care about people. This can't be just a paycheck to you.
When we're going out into people's homes, we're not there to sell them the biggest policy. We want them to have a policy that when the time comes when they need it, that we're going to go back and give them a check.
When I watch agents actually deliver their first check to a spouse who just lost their husband, there's nothing like the look of relief and gratitude on their face, and you actually get to see what you did radically transform someone else's future.
I realized that myself, I could go out and protect 10, 20 families a month. But if I build a small team, I could maybe protect hundreds every month. Now, 7, 8 years later, I'm protecting 3,000 families a month.
The things that we're now able to do, the various product concepts, the different ways we can help clients.
There's such a burden that we're able to relieve off of our friends, off of families that we don't know through those programs. And we should all be incredibly proud to offer what we do to the world.
Yeah, buddy.
I liked it. I'm proud. I don't know about you.
I am very proud.
Very proud. Yep. Man, we got some good stuff happening today. Look at this logo down here. Imelda, unveil if you can. I would love for you to give us a little sneak peek of what's to come.
Well, yes. Hi, Brandon and Casey. Today, we are going to talk about winning with the slight edge. We're going to break down Jeff Olson's book, The Slight Edge, and how that is such a powerful tool for Symmetry agents to have success as producers, builders, leaders. It's a great book, and I'm really excited to have two of my leaders, James Johnson and Sal Capobianco, on here to share that with you.
Nice.
Love that.
Well, how you feeling? Inquiring minds want to know.
Feeling good. Feeling really. I was saying earlier, I had a follow-up with my surgeon yesterday. We did the x-rays and saw where all my bone, my femur is healing up. All the fractures are healing up as they feed, and I've transitioned off the cane. Use it a little bit. I use it a little bit, but I'm doing really well. Thank you.
Nice. The canes are so awesome that you might just want to hold on to it.
Well, my
gives you like an extra amount of swagger when you walk around with it, you know?
We have a kitten here that's a little bit scared of the cane because I will.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. That's why Reggie doesn't have his cane anymore either.
That's right.
I think so. All right, Imelda, we will come back to you. Looking forward to it. Thank you. So glad that you're feeling better too. I will say that Imelda had the best wheelchair. It wasn't a wheelchair. It was like a little get about. What was that thing called? That thing was awesome in Costa Rica.
It was my walker. I blinged out my walker.
Yeah. No wheels. You were just blinged out your walker. I mean, there were like Christmas lights on it. You need one of those horns.
It was great.
Yeah. I'll have to wear the Christmas lights at the next Costa Rica trip. I'll just wear them since I can go without the walker.
There you go.
Yes, there you go. All right. Speaking of Costa Rica, working with Costa Rica today, yesterday, every day it seems like.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but you look around and it's like, it's crazy stuff going on out there, Casey.
Yep.
We're in the midst still of a pandemic, and it just seems to keep on getting worse. So we hope to have an announcement, an update, or whatever on that by tomorrow to qualifiers. So just know that we're on
Friday at the latest.
Yeah, Friday at the latest. We're talking with them. We're communicating with them, hearing them out. They're hearing us out. We're trying to figure it out. So we'll keep you guys posted as quickly as we know something. Let's hit some numbers. You want to?
Let's do it.
All right. Ba-da-doom, doom, 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 doom. Look at that good looking group of folks, man.
Mhm.
All right, who we got for our first time writers? Number one, Gina Marie Wilson, $7,456. Casey, what did Gina Marie Wilson do previously before finding the insurance business?
I don't know. Part of the Wilson sports hierarchy
Oh, I like that.
family, maybe.
I like that. Like the Wilson, like the baseball gloves and stuff.
Yeah, tennis.
I thought for
Golf.
sure you were going to go, was part of the Wilson Phillips family from the old.
Oh,
They used to be one of your favorite
Way better
bands.
it's a way better one, dude.
Well, I shouldn't come in after. It's a lot easier after somebody else starts. Top 10 producers: Nikki Sirocco, Laura Meyer, and Gene Steele. $29,000 in production for the week. Way to go, Mean Gene.
Nice.
Top app count producers tied at 15 with Patricia and Ashley, Richard and Richards, Shannon Turner, and Christopher Leak, 23. Spivey, didn't Christopher Leak used to be a quarterback for the University of Florida? You think it's the same person? Won a national championship, I do believe.
Fantastic quarterback that gave us fits, if I do recall. So
Yes. I'm pretty sure it's the same person.
apparently he has no problems running up the scoreboard over here either.
I love it. Congratulations, Gina Marie Wilson, for being the 11 disability income policies. Good gracious. Love it, man. Top IUL producer was Bernadette Broke. Not broke no more. $30,000. Pretty sexy. Well done. Top annuity producer Laura Meyer, $413,000, 961. I put my dollars in the wrong place, but you guys get the point. Well done, Laura Meyer. Well done. Top DFL producers. There's Papa Pritchett, Elliot Freer, and number one, Mike Rudick, $11,216. They call him the fireman. That's his name. Run around town, putting out old flames. That's what he does.
Right.
Not really, Katie, but he is awesome. Way to go, Mike Rudick. Total recruits for the week. Look at Newbauer. He ain't ever salary sitting up top. Chris Cook on the direct sitting up top with 28. Well done, Miranda and Sean Shannon also. Cook in the base. Grossman doing well. Top license recruits. Got to get these up. Way more licensed recruits. That is the battle cry. Melissa Weagle and Marlon Faulkner, Mark Newbauer. And on the directs board, Marshall Whalen, number one. Kevin Purdy, number two. Kyle and Lisa with Chris Cook tied for third place. Base Shop New Writers, Eric Ondrick with 2. Well done. Chris Cook, number one on the directs board with 5 new writers in his direct agency for the week. Way to go. Seasoned new agents for the week: Amy Walker, Anna Maria, Bo Young, Jennifer Brewer, Jennifer Parkhurst, Jonathan Willis, Leslie Amaro, Sebastian Zito, and Tony is legit. You think that's how you pronounce that, or would it be Liggett? Probably going to be Gigi, not Gigi, but
we can always nickname it if it.
He's too legit to legit.
It could be a she, right?
Probably is a she. Could be.
I
I don't know.
Carlton,
Carlton,
congratulations.
we'll need clarification on 2 things. All right, key leaders, the Hammer, followed by Hader Istanbuli, who's only been here for like 15 minutes. Look at that. $18,000 in premium. Well done, Hader. Carlton Lear, number one, with almost $40,000 is the top AO. Top agency directors, Larry and Ann Griffin, $103,000 in production. Top rad is Eileen Balmer with $157,000 in production. Top MVP, man, this was a close race too. Scott Summers, Georgia Janet Matthews, Chris Cook edged them out with $84,918. Top senior vice president, Kyle and Lisa Kimbrell, $176,000. Well done. Top executive vice president, Carl Miller. Well done, Mr. Miller. Top associate partner, Lynn Watkins, $576,220. top senior partner, Easy Eddie Pritchett. They had a big conference this week.
Big
About
one.
1,100 people at their conference. Well done. Heard it was
I
an
think they raised
amazing
like
event.
50 or 60 grand too. For
Raised
their,
that
for
50
their
or 60 grand
impact
for St.
part.
Jude. Yeah. Really proud of that. Way to go, Easy Eddie.
So
Marshall
proud.
Whalen's conference is this week in Knoxville, $887,938 for the week. Last week. Well done. Top direct was Jacob Pogue with 170 grand. Top base was Dan Miller with 47,124.
Nice.
Well done. Oh man, look at these bonus numbers. You may need to borrow any money. Here's who you go ask right here. I'm giving you their names and their numbers.
Nice.
Ooh, $135,000, so 34,000. Can't round up on that one. Well done, Marshall Whalen, Edward Pritchett, Lynn and Brian, Ryan, Michelle. I mean, that's
Awesome.
money for a bonus, guys. That is a lot of money for bonuses. Well done. Capital producers trying to squeeze up into that equity bonus pool. Chris Cook, just a bonus of almost $4,000, followed by George and Janet Matthews. Well done. Top personal producers bonus, Jeremy Whitaker with 2,500.
Nice.
Did Omar Diaz by just a touch. Congratulations, everybody.
Can't
on
wait
your
to see those
bonuses.
slingshot bonuses being added to this mix. in the
Yeah, those are
next,
about to get big.
Coming months.
I have a feeling this $830,000 to $930,000 number is about to grow
About to pop.
just a little bit. So get in while
Yeah,
the getting's
Brandon.
good.
Bonus paid year to date, 6 million. Over 6 million. Pretty awesome.
That's a lot of bonus money.
A lot of money.
That's a lot of money going back out into the old economy. Stimulating the economy, are you?
That's right.
You'll be receiving a link for a 1-minute demographic survey this week. Thanks in advance for knocking it out. That is a quote from Brian Williamson. And I love how you say thanks in advance, because let me just say, as salespeople, we're not the best at two things: checking our email and doing what is asked in said email. So you click the link and then you spend a minute, and then it really helps us help you. Okay. Any advice you would give, Brian, because you're a leadership guru, on how to better follow through with surveys?
I would just say better data means better decisions, which means greater results and greater momentum. We're just about to break the whole data thing open on the people side this fall, so the best is yet to come. But this one here is going to be actually super helpful for just getting more precise data to you guys that can really drive your business results. So this is really about increasing your profitability, not just filling out a 1-minute survey. So rock on. I'm doing an assumptive close here by saying thanks in advance.
Yep. I like that. You've been hanging around a bunch of salespeople, so it sounds like to me. All right. I think we've got a Connect call coming up. Join Whitney with special guest Kelly Moore on August 26th at 2 p.m. Get it in your calendars. That's tomorrow, 2 p.m. It's going to be a good one too. Those of you that haven't had a chance to hear from Kelly or from Whitney, you're gonna love it. I promise you. Todd, you got anything to say about those two? I saw you unveiled.
Man, no. But anytime I can hop on and talk about those two young ladies, I will do it any day of the week, because they're two of my favorite individuals. So dedicated, work so hard. For those of you that don't know as much about Kelly, she works tirelessly behind the scenes on so many projects, one of which transitions really well right here, Brandon, into QMS. And some of the things that we've been doing to update the QMS program and automate app splits between that team and the finance department, some of the things we've got going on right now in HQ to make it easier for you to track your QMS activity in your business. So much props and appreciation to Miss Kelly and everything she does on the finance team. And with that, Brandon, if I can bring on Jason Ditson and Nathan Burks right quick.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep it in front of everybody's face right now about what QMS is doing, what these two awesome leaders have been doing behind the scenes working on the QMS program, guys, because we need your support. We still spend too much time chasing down agents that seem to be a little bit confused or have a couple of questions about the QMS program. And what that does is it creates not an ideal experience for the actual client. So please listen up. I want to get a quick update from the two leaders of that program, Mr. Nate Burks and Jason Ditson.
Go ahead, Jason. Let you go first.
All right. Hey, nice to speak to everybody and see some of you here on the call. Yeah, we just want to touch base here and just really send the message out how important it is that you all are involved. Once again, you know, your clients are going to be touched by our call center. They're going to be touched by the corporate QMS agents as well. We want to make sure that we're conveying the right messages. Just once again, your clients are going to receive phone calls, but they're also going to receive some text messaging as well as emails. And in both those text message as well as the emails, the way you'll know it's QMS is it does convey the Symmetry name in both the text message and email. So in the text message, it will say SFG policy and have the actual policy number. In the email, it'll actually say Policy Services Department by Symmetry Financial. So if your clients do reach out, you just understand that that is who it is. If they send you a screenshot or reference any of that information, just know it is the QMS team. And you can always reach out to us if you have any questions. Right now, as it sits, last week we peaked at 632 appointments. So we're setting a lot of appointments every single week. So good things are happening. Nate?
Yeah, momentum continues to build and build. We actually had a cool story that was conveyed to us just last week. We had Mike Resma's DFL boot camp, and we had the benefit of having both field sales and QMS agents in the same room. And it came to light that, well, you know, these gentlemen here and this lady's from QMS. And one of the field sales agents spins his head around and says, I just want to thank you for what you guys are doing. Grabs his phone and shows a screenshot of the commission that he received off of the override and the app split. So really, really cool. Just know that that's a microcosm of what's going on out there, everybody. All these QMS agents are taught constantly to take wonderful care of all of your clients, treat them with kid gloves, and to make sure that regardless, they're left in a better position than when we found them. So API always, right, assume that positive intent. They're there purely for your clients, and we understand how valuable they are to you. And that does translate to how valuable they are to us too. So thanks for what you're doing, everybody. And we'll keep giving you as many updates as we can.
Thank you guys. Y'all are crushing it. Keep it up. Please pass that along to anyone on y'all's teams that aren't on the call. Everyone is so appreciative of what you guys are doing. So keep it rolling.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. I think, you know, Spivey said it in the beginning, but just a huge shout out, Ditson and Nate, to you guys in particular, because you kind of been perfecting this model over the past 4 or 5 years, but it's a whole different animal when, you know, we're trying to merge two companies and we're trying to really continue to grow something that can scale. And the amount of challenges that you guys have had to overcome, and I guess just the way that you've handled that so far has been great. So appreciate your leadership, and, you know, appreciate having both of you guys on this call with us, you know, really for the past 2 or 3 weeks, because I think it's so important, Casey, that everybody out there that is benefiting from QMS gets to see and hear from the people that are responsible, at least at the top right now with the leadership position. But there's so many great agents out there that we want to start getting in and introducing on these calls as well. So Ditz and Burks, I will be following up with you guys to figure out when is the best time and best way for us to do that. And there's going to be a lot of opportunity, I think, coming up with Denver, with tours, with different things, so that people can begin to meet and, you know, feel connected to and kind of feel part of this community of agents that are, it's really a unique thing in the industry to see so many people kind of working together, giving up splits on both sides, but really focusing on helping the client and at the same time profiting wonderfully as agents, and, you know, either the writing agent or the initial writing agent. It's just a really unique thing. And I hope that everybody out there understands just how unique it is, because this stuff is not happening anywhere else. And it's really cool to see.
Right.
So thanks, Nate, Jason. Good job, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yep. All right. What do we got coming up? Foresters tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Don't want to miss that one. We love those guys. We've got a key leader, Jama Foot, investigate your feelings and level up on Monday's sales training call. And then obviously the DFL LIVIN hosted by Mr. Mike Resma, who good to have him back in the office. He's been out for a little while.
Yep.
And is back to, he says, 98%, which Resma's 98% is most people's 110%. So we'll take it.
Exactly.
You know, we'll take it. What do we got next? Tool of the week, Mr. Spivey. or Mr. Williamson. I think it's Brian and Spivey, probably.
Well, actually, not.
That's
not me.
actually Brian and Imelda.
Yep.
It is.
All right.
It is.
Imelda?
It is. It is me and Imelda. I don't think it is me, but I'm gonna find out how I'm part of it. Come on, Imelda.
I'm in too.
It is
I
definitely.
love like acting like we're just kind of coming into the fray, Imelda. So you bring us up.
Well, the Thrive tool of the week we're going to talk about is one of my favorites, the support challenge matrix. I think we have a slide on it. Brian did fist bump.
All right. I'm relieved. Keep going.
Well, I love this tool and I highly recommend it to the new agency owners, right? The people who are just at that starting level of leadership and kind of feel like, all right, now I'm an agency owner and I'm going to do it different. I'm going to be better than my upline or my mentor, right? Because I'm going to help my agents. Maybe there's an area you felt like you could have been more supported. So you're going to give more support. And I shared this in the Purdy leadership meeting last week. Kevin Purdy I'm direct to Kevin Purdy and, learned lessons of duplication from him. He learned from Linwood Watkins, learned from you gents. But I thought I could do something better, right, for my agents. And what we tend to do is we tend to lean too much to giving too much support, almost taking away the challenge. So what you see on this tool here is you see an axis in the vertical axis, starting with low support, right? Going to high support. Doing it for them, helping set appointments, buying leads, things like that. And then on the horizontal axis, we see challenge. On the left, low challenge, not really challenging people to come up to the level that they're capable of. And then to the right, they're high challenge, really helping people, hit their maximum through challenge. And what it creates is these quadrants. And it's been identified that the quadrants, if you're high support and low challenge, which is over there on the left, they call it the culture of protection. And there's going to be some entitlement there, right? Where you hire somebody, maybe you were making appointments or having appointments made for them or giving them recruits. And then they kind of don't do the work themselves, right? They kind of feel entitled, when you might need to take that away from them. In the lower right quadrant, if there's high challenge, but really not a lot of support, it creates a feeling of fear, a culture of fear, and a feeling where the agents might feel a little bit dominated, right? Or just kind of, they really are afraid of you. And then on the left, the lower left quadrant is where you're giving low support, low challenge. And that's where your people aren't going to stay with you because they're not challenged, they're not supported. It's a culture of abdication and they're going to leave. But where we want to get to is the liberation quadrant up here in the far right, where we're giving challenge and we're giving high support, and people are empowered to win in their own journey, right? And Brian, I know that in one of our sessions, you introduced this tool, and I immediately took it back to my leaders. And I asked them to rate me on this. And it was a real moment of vulnerability for me. And I know both I'm going to have on a little later, Sal and James, and they plotted me, where did they think I was in terms of giving them challenge and where I was giving them support. And and then I took those plot lines and I combined them, and it really helped me understand how I was seen by my team. And then I went back to each of them individually and said, how can I give you more support? Or what does that look like for you? And I just think it's a wonderful tool to connect with your up and coming leaders, and then to be careful as a new leader yourself, like a new agency owner, to not overdo it, to not rob those people on your team of what's going to be their success story. Brian, anything else? Did I miss?
No, well, not surprisingly, you get a gold star A+. And I do think, Imelda, you're hitting on such an important principle here that you've lived out really well over the last 18 months and even before that. But right, leadership is influence. Influence is power. Power is our capacity to influence. Power is what causes influence, right? So leaders, we don't take power from other people. right? We don't take it selfishly. We actually, our power is power under to serve and to liberate
Yes.
others. And gosh, if we could get that, and we're going to continue to talk about that, right? The earliest research on leadership just showed that effective managers had high support behaviors, and they clarified expectations and drove challenge. But when power is demanded and power is extracted, and there's still too many stories of that, right, inside of leaders, it just does not go well. So I think you did a great job just highlighting these different quadrants. And Imelda, just one final thing for you is just thinking through the way that you were able to liberate yourself as you had your team plot you in this, and the seriousness with which you chose to develop yourself over the last 18 months. I don't know of anyone else that I could put in that category. You paid such attention to detail as you were liberating yourself, because we all starts with that self circle of influence, right? If I can be a liberator to myself, challenge myself, and support myself, it all flows from there. So you've done really well with this. Excellent job to unpack it for us.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
And love that, to be in that right quadrant, that top upper right quadrant, which is where you want to be, is, it takes vulnerability. It takes being a leader that is strong enough to do what you said, Imelda, which is to go to your team and say, where are my blind spots? Because I know I have them. How can I better serve you? That is so attractive. It's one of the most attractive things you can do as a leader, is to approach your team like that, and when you do make mistakes, fess up to them and say, hey, that's my bad. That vulnerability is such a powerful thing that I think a lot of leaders miss. They think, no, I can't do that because I'm going to rob myself of influence. Wrong. You're going to get more influence with that transparency and that vulnerability. So kudos to you. Great breaking this down. I think we need to come back to this more. This is an incredibly important little image for our company right now, especially in comparison to the rest of the industry. So love that. Oh, we
Imelda. Well, I think so, but I just got one more question, Imelda. Like, you had to lean into the vulnerability. What did it first feel like when Brian said you needed to do this? What was your first reaction?
I don't like to get criticism. It's why my biggest challenge is being able to accept that criticism, asking people to give me feedback, right? Well, I wasn't comfortable with it at first, but I knew that each of the people, I've got James and Sal coming up, they're both different. I have other leaders. How did they see me? And each one of them was going to need something different. This ties into the 5 voices, and so much of the leadership development is what do they need? And if I don't hear from them, how else am I going to know? And then giving me that feedback that maybe I wasn't challenging them enough, wasn't a criticism of me. It was a sharing of how I can support them. So it became a window of how to, I guess, redirect my own thoughts on what this process really was.
That's what happens. Good. Go ahead, Casey.
No, you go, man. Go.
I was gonna say, you're just such a good example of this. Leaders who don't invite feedback tend to excuse their behavior. And what happens is they create a big gap. And again, if you say, this is just how I'm wired, I could care less about how this comes across, and excuse behavior, you're just making life way harder for yourself. You're inviting lots of relational, carnage, and you, by inviting that constructive feedback, it does show that that openness. And that, again, that's just a hallmark of a good leader, right? Where it's okay to not be okay. No one has the full package. Not one person on this call has every gift that's needed to accomplish. That's why I love that you said team earlier today, Casey. We are an interdependent team of people that need each other to win. And so, really important.
So good. And I think that first, step, and again, it's not that vulnerability is everything in that upper right quadrant, but it's a component of the leadership that you need to kind of play in that world. And to your point, Imelda, it's one thing to actually ask the question and to be vulnerable and say, where are my blind spots? How can I help serve the team better? You know, how can I support more? How can I offer more challenge? That exercise in itself is hard to do. But like you said, the second hardest thing to do is to actually take that and say, okay, I may not even agree with it, but I do agree that their perception is that way for a reason. And as a leader, I take 100% responsibility for how those people feel. And I've created an atmosphere or something that has caused them to think that, whether that's truly what I was meaning to do or not, you know? And so to be able to take it a step deeper and say, this is something that I've created, whether I like it or not, and I can fix this, you know? But so good. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Thanks, Imelda. Brian.
Yeah.
Casey, before we move on, because we got some really good stuff to cover, I just feel like there are a lot of people that have joined in that maybe were not aware of the first call, the builder's call, or what we kind of talk about for the first 30 minutes on Wednesdays. And I don't know, maybe I can set you on the 2-minute shot clock.
Let's do it.
Give us a promo on why someone should be joining us on Wednesdays before this call.
Yeah. You know, jump in with me here for a couple minutes before we transition into Imelda and team. But, you know, we just got a lot of really crazy, awesome things happening right now from a timing standpoint. So the two things we covered with the leaders on the leaders call was timing and how to capitalize on it right now. And then positioning. How are we positioning ourselves right now in the industry? Because to kind of, again, frame up what has gone on for the last couple of years is that the industry has been consolidated. Pretty much every competitor in the life space that we had kind of sold their companies, cashed out, which is fine for them. But in the process of doing that, had kind of taken their foot off the gas when it comes to really leaning into building technology, products, support, all of that kind of stuff that drastically changes and affects our lives as agents and our clients' lives, right? So recognizing that for the last 2 years, we've been doubling down on that together with you guys, investing in our businesses. And now we're coming out of the darkness into the light in a way, because we're actually now able to show some of this technology. We're able to unroll some of these products that we're going to actually talk about next week with the Quality term. It's either going to be next week or the week after. We'll keep you updated on that. But we're actually kind of showing ourselves off a little bit, and there's going to be a massive wave of PR over the next 90 to 126 months. It's going to continue. And so just everyone recognizing the timing that we're in, that we have a lot of the industry, a lot of the agents that were with those companies are going to start realizing what Symmetry and Quality have been working on for 2 years, while everyone else has kind of been flat-footed, to be honest. That's what's happening. And so we're getting ready to see, well, we're already seeing, by the way, guys, probably one of the largest cracks in the industry that we've ever seen in 20 years. And I think we're going to continue seeing more of that, Brandon, over the next couple of years, of people realizing, why would I not plant my flag with the company investing in my future, investing and figuring out a way to innovate my life and my client's experience to the nth degree, right? So the timing is very important right now for everyone to recognize that and to invest in it. And for most of you guys on this call, what that means is very simple: invest in leads, get your activity levels up, and recruit more people. Okay, so we don't, again, 2-minute drill, we don't have time to go into that, but the biggest way I went from, Brandon, selling $3,000 to $4,000 a week of personal production to selling 5, 6, 8, 10,000 every week without really even working that much more was I doubled my lead investment. Instead of spending $400 a week, I was spending $800 a week. I was getting more activity, and through the numbers, I was winning with playing the averages. And so it's about that. And we're doing everything we can behind the scenes. We got a lot of leads getting ready to pop in the next month Brandon, I don't know how you feel about percentage of growth we're going to see in what we've been allocating in A leads and bonus leads over the past month, let's say, and what it's going to be like in the next month or two. But it's going to be a massive increase based on all the stuff we're working on behind the scenes. So invest, invest, invest. If you're a leader, invest in adding on to that slingshot bonus, sweetening the pot, running contests, that kind of thing. Any other points on timing and investment?
No, I think you nailed it. I will say, to give some context to it, because we've kind of alluded to cracks in the industry and what that's meant for Quility. In the past week and a half, we have contracted somewhere between, it's going up every day, somewhere between 350 and 450 agents between the wholesale side and the field side and the corporate side. Actually, 650 between field, corporate, and wholesale. So that's what we mean by you got to get while the getting's good. And we're doing everything we can behind the scenes to increase lead flow. I had some amazing conversations this morning, Casey, that I kind of caught you up on. We've uncovered a lot of new areas and things that we can do. So buckle up. I think the point taken away from the call this morning was, be building, go recruit, the licensed agents out there that need your help. But
that's it. And
you're exactly right.
That's it. And understand also, guys, it's not just that people are going to start recognizing that this is pretty much the last man standing in our industry of a company that's investing very heavily into innovation and the future of the workflow, how we actually go about doing our business. But they're also kind of waking up to this idea that somehow, they've been sold this idea that high contract is the kind of formula for success. And people are starting to realize, man, it doesn't actually mean success when a bunch of money is going in one pocket and right back out the other pocket on leads and not having support and having to do everything myself. People are waking up to that, and they're coming this way. And so the next thing we talked about with the leaders is, how do you position yourselves? How do you capitalize on the actual kind of flow that's actually out there, looking at us, looking at a different way to actually make money? Because there are a lot of people out there that you're going to be talking to that are coming over, that are coming to you on 100%, 150. They may be coming to you on higher contracts than Edward Pritchett's on. Edward Pritchett doesn't care what contract he's on, though, because it's about spread and volume. See, our people are educated on how business actually works. You're talking to a bunch of people that aren't educated on that because they've been kind of blindfolded with this shiny object. And so there's kind of a little bit of a deprogramming process that happens in this. And really, it's just education. It's you guys understanding, here's what I would do if I were y'all. I would be educating myself on the 3 career path model that we have, the choose your path model. Okay. And that way, when you're bringing people in and you're kind of recruiting, use that choose your path model to say, here's what we have. Like, we're not talking negatively about what the competitors don't have. That's not how we play. And that's not how we've ever played. And that's not how we're going to play going forward, because it's not a good look. We don't have to throw mud to make ourselves look better. We've never done it that way. What we need to do is we need to educate people on our value props and be able to do the simple math for people. And we're going to give you guys as many tools as we can to help you do that. But I would be using the choose your path model as a way to kind of enter into those conversations and then get really good at explaining the math in each model. And we're going to work with you guys on the builders calls, and we're going to create some really good educational kind of assets for you guys to use to help you do this. But it's all about positioning. There's a couple books right now that I think we should probably all be reading together. I think if you guys are doing huddle ups with your teams, a couple of books outside of Slight Edge, because that's a really good book for us right now too, Imelda. But understanding our positioning and our value props, the 2 books I would be reading are Cash Flow Quadrant by Kiyosaki and E-Myth. Those two books have been very. If you read those two books, you'll understand why Symmetry is the way it is. And so I would kind of think about, maybe we do this together a little bit, but I would think about, as a leader, rallying your people around those two books for the next couple months: Cash Flow Quadrant and E-Myth. So it's timing, guys, and it's positioning. We'll help you with as much of that on positioning as we can from a marketing standpoint. And then get ready for next week, Brandon. I don't know if we've decided if it's going to be locked in for next week, but we want to go over the actual Quality term product for you guys and roll that out. And we also have, last time I talked to Pope, I think it was 8, but I'm just going to cut it in half and say 4. We have 4. We actually do have 8 product instant issue, very innovative products in the pipe outside of Quality term coming. This is what I mean by everyone else has been sleeping for 2 years and we've been behind the scenes gearing up for this stuff. And so these things are big value adds to all of us that are going to help your job, both when you're sitting with clients, but also as you're building your business within the company. This is going to be the biggest gold rush we've been through in 12 years. This next couple of years is going to be massive. We just got to capitalize on it. We're stronger together. It's time to kind of unify. It's time to kind of squash relationship issues. If there's any in your team, it's time to kind of get rid of anything that's keeping us right now from our objective, which is to grow this thing and create massive impact and opportunity all across this industry. So that was not a 2-minute drill, Brandon. I apologize for that. And in fact, I think Brandon had to jump on another call. Yeah, he did. So Imelda, let's jump into it.
Thanks,
Are you excited? Are you as excited as I am right now?
I'm so pumped up. Just what you just went over in your 2 minute, 5
minutes.
Ross and Tugber, had said on our call last week that he wishes he'd gotten into the insurance business earlier. But the truth is, it's just, Symmetry and what you guys have done, what you built, what you're rolling out didn't exist before. So, he is, and I am eternally grateful for what you've created and what's going to happen. So if it's rolling out, we're going to be at the best financial times with the growth of this company. We're in the right place right now. We're happy to be here. So.
It is the right place. It's the right time. Y'all are the right people. And so this is the moment we've all, for everyone that's been here for a while, this is the moment we've been growing ourselves for. Yeah. This is the moment for us to shine. For everyone that's brand new, this is your moment too. This is your moment to capitalize on this thing with us, because your job, during the gold rush, it's easy is not the word necessarily, but when there's more gold in the dirt, it is easier. Every shovelful carries more dirt than it did 4 years ago or 5 years ago even. And so, now the question is is it going to be a shovel, or are you going to go rent a backhoe? Are you going to set up an operation and actually dig this and mine this with us? Because that's kind of what's on the table right now. And so I'm, incredibly glad to have you guys talking about what you're talking about today, because it's really good timing. So thank you for being on, Imelda. So very proud of what you're doing, what your team is doing. I remember, I don't know how long ago it was, Imelda. We were up and we shared some pizza. One of my first memories of getting to hang out with you, we shared some pizza up in
Rhode Island, right?
Rhode Island. And that was like my first trip to Rhode Island. Yeah. And I remember sitting across from that table at you and you were fairly new with us, right?
Yeah.
And man, I just grew very fond of you immediately. You just have this personality about you that we knew, you were one of us, and look at you go now. What are you running right now in volume?
We're on a run rate of 2.5 million for this year, Casey. We're doing a little over 200,000 a month, with two agency owners and the base shop. So
And
it's,
more on the way, I hear. And then you got, so are you still in the field and
no,
building?
I'm just building. I'm
Okay.
not in the field, but like I say, when we pivoted,
Yep.
and I watched, some of the people who have been out of the field for a long time, grab some leads and learn how to do it, virtually. I did the same thing. I grabbed leads. So I'd learned that as well.
That's
and from
awesome.
time, I take some leads and jump on, and just to keep myself sharp. So
That's awesome. I love that. Love that leadership. Love that you have put yourself in a position rather quickly to not have to go in the field.
absolutely.
It's not about not wanting to go in the field. It's not about not having to go in the field, not having your income tied to your feet for the rest of your life, to where if you do want to take a week off, or if you do need to take a month off because of an injury or a disability or an illness, that my money doesn't stop, right? And you instantly saw that, and you started working towards that. You're a perfect example of the track that someone should run on with our company, which is you come in, you get really dang good at personal production, you get really dang good at attracting people to your business, and then all of a sudden you look back and you're making $10,000 a month passive before you get out of bed.
Absolutely. And I said this again, Casey, as some of you know, on the May 30th, I tripped in the bathroom and on the bath mat, and I fractured my femur. Pretty significant fracture, multiple fractures. And I was so calm, going in the ambulance. I was so calm, going through the process of the x-rays and everything, and talking to the surgeon, because I had built a business. I've got a business that back when I was an individual producer, if I couldn't get in the car and drive to go see clients, I wasn't going to make any money. And I just knew. And I was in the hospital for a week. And I remember checking my bank account on Friday. And, it was Memorial Day. So it was only 4 deposits, 4 days that week, $5,000, just got dropped in. And it wasn't because of the work. Well, it wasn't because of the meeting with clients that I did. It was because of the work that I'd done in finding incredible leaders like I've got on here today.
So awesome.
And that continued, because my, first couple of weeks at home, I was kind of laid up as well. But that's why we do that. Like I built so that I wouldn't have to worry when something.
That's the freedom of it that, and now you're showing other people how to get it. Like, is it Salvatore or Salvatore? Salvatore. Okay. I've heard Brandon read that name on the leaderboards and stuff. So, and James Johnson, Imelda, like I said, grateful to have you guys, and excited to hear what you guys got. I'm going to let you guys run with it.
Well, great. Thanks, Casey. I was trying to say before, my husband has a front loader on his John Deere. So if there's going to be a lot in this dirt, John's going to get right out here and get some of that.
Let's get it. Let's fire that thing up.
Excellent.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Well,
take it away, Imelda.
Thank you. I'll start by introducing myself to everybody. I'm Imelda Koptonak. I am up here in Old Lyme, Connecticut, real close to where Hurricane Henri took landfall the other day. I've been with Symmetry for 6 years. I started this month, August of 2015, and I answered an ad that was placed by Kevin Purdy. I'm really, really grateful to have had his mentorship and leadership over the years. And I just want to say thank you and express tremendous gratitude to you, Casey, Brandon. I know he dropped off, and Brian Pope for what you guys have created here in a system. And not just that, it's the culture and the values. The culture and the values is what really grabs me. I'm not really a systems person, but it's the culture and the values. And I know in your hearts, you live and breathe these every day, and show that to us. And I also want to express great gratitude for amazing hires like Doug Zay and Todd Spivey and Brian Williamson, from whom we learn so much. We learn so much, and they've just helped make this such an incredible opportunity. There's Todd there. You showed Todd. I've learned so much from you, Todd. I want to introduce first my team that I've have joining me today, and I am so proud to do so. First, I want to introduce James Johnson, agency owner out of Lindale, Texas. And by way of introducing you, James, I'm going to tell everybody that, I learned from Danny Young about, when I'm doing an interview, what we call the takeaway. Danny says, if you can't get somebody to go to conference, right, well, maybe they're not the right person. And I remember when you answered my ZipRecruiter ad, and you I were talking, it was just a few short weeks before conference, and I invited you to conference, and said you had to get there to be on my team. You had to get there. And what I loved about you was that you said, oh, you're giving me the old takeaway, are you? And I knew right then I wanted you. I knew right then. I mean, I'd liked you up to that point, but I knew right then I liked you. I really wanted you on the team. And, you came on board and just embraced the system with a tremendous amount of humor, and started building Warm Market right away. Earned your agency owner in about 11 months, I believe it was. But what's been really impactful is how much I've learned from you as a leader to grow a team, to encourage a team. I continuously do. So I'm very, very grateful that that even though I didn't get you to go to that first conference, you came to the next one about 4 months later, and that you've been with us. Say hello, James, and tell everybody a little bit about you.
All right. Thank you very much, Imelda. As you can see, I'm direct to you, Imelda, Koptonak, and Kevin Purdy, and Lynn Watkins Hierarchy. And like you said, Casey and Brandon and Brian, what they've created here at Symmetry, man alive, what a, we're talking about the book, The Slight Edge. I don't know what do you call a bigger edge? A ledge? I mean, we have the ledge edge or something, but it seems like we have a whole lot bigger edge for us than just very minimal and slight. It's huge here. And that was one of the things I saw when I first came on was, the production, how they do things, what they say, if they mean what they say and sincere and genuine. And that's what I felt here. And, a lot of that was embellished November 2019 when I was actually in Asheville, but you saw a little bit more of that heart, that comes from the company. But it's been a great ride for the, a little bit over, I think I was here starting May of 2019. And it's been a great ride so far. And I can't wait to see what, with what Casey and them are doing. And, it's like they're unleashing the beast here. It's all these different things coming out, their own product and HQ. It's just, I can't wait to see how this is going to attract, so many people. So yeah, it's been great. So thank you so much. We have had, it was fun, that first interview. I remember us talking about that and going, I said, Melba, that was we had a great conversation until you said that. But that was fun. But it's been great getting to know you better and growing our teams and stuff. And I wouldn't be here without you and the support of the whole Symmetry system. And so, yeah, part of that is growing a team. And I'll just take that and lead that into Mr. Sal here to introduce him a little bit. Sal, he had actually answered an ad on ZipRecruiter as well, like me, but he was about 3 minutes from my office, and he was, wanting to see product and how we did it and all that. And you said, hey, I've got an agent right there beside you. And so I actually went over and talked to Sal and Denise, and he was like, yeah, I like this, believe I can do this. And, at the time, you never know what somebody has inside. It's like, I don't remember who it was, Casey. I think it was Casey that said, you can't make a duck into an eagle, but you can find those eagles. And Sal is one of those that, when he came in, I'll let him talk about some of the things that we'll be going through, but here's just a guy who came in, poured into it. He and I both went to Chicago. I think it was that June or July of 2019,
something like that.
And still here. But we've just had this relationship, it's worked out really well with us being here. And here's a guy that just, even with some challenges, just jumped in there and was one of the first ones, even when when COVID came across last year, jumped in there on Zoom and just took off. And so he's just been one of those that would takes up the challenge, right? So it's became a key leader here. I think it was probably was it eight or 10 months later after you came on board, and just continues to grow his team. Always investing. That's the word of the year, invest, and he's been investing in recruiting and all that. So Sal, this is Salvatore Capobianco. So glad you're here.
And thanks, James and Imelda, and thanks to the entire Symmetry system, Casey and Brandon and the whole team. One of the biggest things about encountering both of you, Imelda and James, for me, Imelda, I told you that I needed to believe in the product. I needed to believe in a number of different things, and so you very insightfully introduced me to James. But that's the thing. I've been with companies before, and I haven't had the belief to my very, very core in not only the system, but in the founders of the company. And the ivory tower corporate thing, routine that doesn't really know what's going on in the field never really appealed to me. But everything about this company does. So, but I've been with the company now about, full-time, 2 years to this month. And every day is just a learning experience. It feels like I'm a big sponge. Feels like we're just beginning to accelerate.
Great. Well, I am so excited to have both of you, not only on my team, but here today to share. We read the book, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, and it just really resonated with us. And we wanted to share the lessons and principles from the book and how they totally align with what it takes to be successful here at Symmetry. And, by way of kind of introducing why that's important to me, is I had told the fellas this story. I'll tell everybody. Even though I have a Spanish first name and a Russian last name, I am the daughter of 2 Irish immigrants, and my mom wanted to get me involved in Irish dancing. Well, anybody who knows that I fell in the bathroom on a bath mat will know that I wasn't really destined for dance. So that didn't work out. So then she decided I was going to learn Irish music and with the tin whistle, the Irish tin whistle. So back in the Bronx, the Mulvihill family was the Irish musical family. So she set me up for lessons with this young guy, Brendan Mulvihill, and I had lessons on Sunday morning in their living room, and he was usually hungover from partying the night before. Anyway, he taught me to play the tin whistle, but he didn't teach me to read music. He just taught me the notes, and there's only a few notes, so it's not very difficult. Taught me how to put my fingers on the holes and make the sounds, but he didn't learn how to read music. So the first piece of music I was given was this one Irish jig, and I just played it over and over again. I was playing the notes right, but I wasn't playing to the right length or the right tone or holding it the right, because I didn't know how to read music. But I did it over and over and over again. Well, our next door neighbor, this wonderful Norwegian guy named Roy Hulbeck, wanted to learn how to play the tin whistle. So we bought him a tin whistle, and I went over with my one sheet of music, and I started playing the music for him. Now, again, I'd been playing it over and over again. And suddenly, right with Roy, as I was playing it for him, it became a tune. It became a tune because I had gotten a little bit better every single time. And suddenly I was playing the actual tune. And I still can't read music to this day, but it was a great lesson in the practice, the doing the little things, just playing it over and over and over again. And I learned it was the same thing when I came to Symmetry. I knew that I might not be the best, but if I did something every single day to move forward. And Jeff Olson's book, The Slight Edge, is about those, it's really the principle of the little decisions, the little disciplines that we do every day that over a long enough period of time, the effect compounds, and that is going to get us to success. And so, I wanted to start with you, James. What are some of the little disciplines, the little decisions you made, say in your first, 11 months here? You got to AO very, very quickly. But in the middle of that, you had your health challenge. What are some of the little decisions you made along the way that helped you?
That's one of the biggest things that probably helped me along the way, was because Symmetry did have the system. Some people come in and they go, oh my gosh, we got to, there's all these different phone calls, right? These different conference calls and stuff. Well, to me, I like knowing that system was in place, because it's even though it's routine, it's over, you just hear these different things that help you along the way. And so what helped me with those little decisions about, whether it's just making the calls, right? Making the calls, having the conversations to set up appointments. So it's just doing some of those things over again, knowing that each time you get a little bit better, whether it's answering the rebuttals back or whatever it is, but knowing that in one day, you're going to have those days that you may not set up any appointments if you make a couple hours of calls, but knowing if you consistently just keep doing the work, it eventually happens. And I know when I first started making calls, things kind of clicked along pretty good, and I set up several appointments. Then all of a sudden I was like, man, I'm not setting up any appointments. And I remember you had me record it and I sent it over to you. You said, James, do you hear anything wrong in that script? And I said, what? I've listened to it a few times. It says, it doesn't ask how you're doing. Right. So that was just something I added in there. Hey, Sal, this is James. How you doing? Right. Not part of the script. And you're like, hey, just tell them why you're calling. Right. So it's those little things. And so sometimes we have to go back and learn what those things that we're doing wrong. But it's just developing each day. It's those little consistent things along the way. And just will make a huge difference in your business here. So
Jeff quotes Jim Rohn, another great writer in the personal development field. Everything you need to be successful is easy to do, and it's also easy not to do. Okay, it's easy to do, and it's also easy not to do. And I know, Sal, you have a kind of a way that you frame that in terms of what you feel like doing. You want to tell everybody about how you work through the dialing and about feeling your kind of application of what you feel.
Yeah, it's, in the book that Jeff Olson, The Slight Edge, really develops is all about, the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. Well, to me, that's feeling, because if we're waiting to feel like doing something, we may be waiting for a while. There's a lot of things in life I don't feel like doing. I don't feel like getting up out of bed in the morning, or I don't feel like mowing the lawn or cleaning the pool, or there's a number of things. But I've learned that if I make a decision to take action, the feeling will follow. And so whenever I have that feeling that I don't want to do something, to me, that tells me I'm in the right zone. It tells me that I better not be waiting for that feeling, because that feeling may not come. The time for action is now. That's my trigger.
And you mentioned as well, sometimes we don't feel like something, and we wind up procrastinating, right? Just putting off. And it's Symmetry, right? We just heard from the founders, this opportunity that's right in front of us. We've got to make these decisions. In fact, Jeff Olson says, he talks about living where the opportunity is, right? We're there now. It's in the moment of decision, right? See, the slight edge isn't about big breakthroughs. It isn't like suddenly, Sal became the top producer that he is. It's the things he did every day as he was learning. You have a decision to make to go forward in a positive direction, and you have a decision to make to go forward in a negative direction. James, I remember when you told a story about, you see, it wasn't the heart attack that happened in November that was your biggest challenge here, right? You'd recruited, you'd shown up at a conference with 6 warm market recruits who, kind of about the time of your heart attack had kind of drifted away. They weren't the right people at that time. But it was the medications the doctor put you on that really was your biggest challenge. And you made some very specific decisions. Tell everybody kind of what you went through and how you felt, and just what the daily decision was that you could do at that time.
Yeah, it was, I had no idea a heart attack would jack you up like that, but I learned along the way. But like you said, it wasn't necessarily the heart attack itself. It was the medication that they put you on some of these things. And after something like that happens, but going back to the company, that's when Brandon Ellison and Todd Spivey, and of course you and a whole bunch of our team came to my hospital room, and, Javon Spencer and Scott Forehand, and just a ton of people, as far as support. And, that's where you get to learn about, you realize the people around you, it's all about association. We talk about it's who you surround yourself with, but it was those little things that, because of the system, it was texting Scott Forehand and saying, hey, tell me how much APV you wrote this week. Just keeping that belief up, right? I would get on the, you checked in with me several times, Kevin Purdy would, and it was just, just to check in and see how I was doing. But it was some of those times when you're taking those medications that, I tell you, it was like a dang roller coaster ride emotionally, right? I mean, one day I'd feel great. I'd go a couple of days and, man, I feel like I'm back in my zone. I'm normal again. And then the third day it'd be like, I'm staying in bed all day, or I'm watching TV or something. And so what really kept me focused was going, because of these calls that they have, I could jump on a call, and that just, I kind of equate it to the old Elf movie, that when the sleigh doesn't take off until everybody starts believing in Santa Claus, right? And that you see that meter just swing over and the sleigh takes off. That's the way it was for me with these calls, and just going, okay, just keep hearing it, just stick in there, and that's what it just kept that belief going that, hey, I know I'm at the right place. I just have to keep doing those little things. And so along the way, one of the things that I learned in Chicago when Sal and I and some other people, agents, went to Chicago was Terry Garvey, had everybody said, hey, pull out your phone. I'm gonna show you a real cool trick here real quick. Text people that you have in your phone. He said, first of all, open up your phone and scroll down all the way to the bottom of your list of contacts, and it'll show you how many contacts you have, right? So he said, now just put in there a simple message with a video. Hey, I thought about you. I was at this, looking at something. I thought about you. Take a look at this video, see if it's something you like. And I just sat there and I started going through, copy and paste and all these different people. And so I remember on the way back home, you and I actually did about 2 or 3 different interviews while I was in the airport while I was waiting on the flight, because I had contacted people unbeknownst to me. They were already insurance licensed, right? They never said anything to me about it. So it's just those little things, and just like the consistency of, that's where a lot of the people that are on my business now or on our team have become more market, because I've just stayed in touch with them. We're on Facebook together, and they just either have reached out to me or I've reached out to them. And it's just been, those little consistencies, one of it being, for the longest, and I still do to this day, actually Sunday afternoon, I was telling people this morning, I got back from church and I sat there and I just sent out a text to more people. I'm just going through my warm market list of, and I just sent out a text message of, hey, this is what I've been doing the past couple of years. Thought about you, check it out. Let's call, touch base, And it's just those little things, doing those. And I've got a note here that says a bunch of small, successful choices along the way. That's what'll make a difference.
Absolutely. One of the other lessons that I loved when I read this in the book, Olson talks about, when we begin something new, at the beginning, we're at our lowest level of knowledge and our highest level anxiety, right? You guys remember feeling right? There's all these products, I don't know, So he talks about the 4 steps to knowledge. And I love this because this so aligns with Symmetry and how you learn here. So this is what he says, and you'll see this in the book with more detail, but he talks about learn knowledge. Learn knowledge is the books, the audios, the seminars, right? The Quality University, right? That's the learning knowledge. Okay, that's one step. The second level of knowledge is activity knowledge, right? You've got to go out and do. Ralph Waldo Emerson, he quotes, the law of nature is do the thing and you'll have the power. He who does not the thing does not have the power. Okay. And that aligns with our massive action, constant correction, right? For those of you who are new on the phone, either, you're going through Quality U now, we're going to get you on the phone and you're going to feel like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm doing. I totally remember my first appointments and not really knowing what I was going to do. I mean, I'd been in insurance before, but that didn't really help me. And I just felt overwhelmed. But that's okay, because at least I went out. And when I went out and had an appointment, I got a better sense of what I needed to go back when I went back to what's in Quality U now to learn, right? So he talks about learn knowledge, then activity knowledge. And then sometimes, going back to learn, doing the activity again, right? That's massive action, constant correction. He also talks about modeling, right? Modeling is finding that person here at Symmetry that does what, right? It's the idea of duplication, right? I was modeling Kevin, who was modeling Linwood Watkins, right? So we model those who are ahead of us, who have the success we're looking for, have the skills we're looking to learn. And then you move into the 4th level, which is teaching knowledge, right? That's, being asked to be on this call now, that you get to a point where you've been doing the learning and the activity and the modeling, that you now, are somebody to become the teacher, to be asked to lead a breakout. It's very humbling, but it's also that natural progression of the other 3 levels of leadership. So I'm going to go to you, Sal, because I know these 4 levels of learning and knowledge resonate with you. You were somebody that came here, you've been in sales a long time, but you had some areas of knowledge, this is obviously new to you. One being technology. James, tell that real quick story about Sal, when you helped him learn how to scan something, what he said, because you tell it better.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it's just a classic, but it's, Sal was like, okay, what do I need to get? And I said, well, a scanner and a printer would be good. He said, okay, I don't have one. What do you suggest? And so we got him one. And since he was 3 minutes from my office at the time, I went over there and helped him set it up. He's like, okay, so what do I do? And I said, so I think we were actually scanning in your onboarding application or something. And so we got the paper and I put it in, connected it all up, and we put it in the scanner and it scans. He goes, man, that's great. Okay, so where did that go? where did that go? And I said, well, it's going to be on your computer now. So let's get over here on your computer, and then we'll find the folder where it's at.
That's great. So that gives such a great picture of, Sal, where you started. But I want you to talk about how you applied these levels of learning as you've gotten so much better here at Symmetry. Would you share that?
Yeah, and that was, the way I like to explain that is, when I got started, I'm quite open about this, is I didn't know a PDF from an FYI. I didn't know I didn't know an upload from a download. I had some serious, it was never an issue before, because I was just getting kneecap to people and reaching out and helping them. It became became clear it was a real issue, right? So number one, I had to recognize it was an issue. It was looking at me right in the face. And what was I going to do about it, right? Well, I was going to have to take some action, right? And James was a huge help in that area. It wasn't reading books. It was literally jumping in and take, the activity part. I had to jump in. I had to get that computer, the scanner, and I had to begin applying all this stuff that was being shared with me, right? And so, but the modeling part, it was just a step-by-step process. The modeling was going to the meetings, plugging into the system, and seeing people like Rossum, like Rossum talked about, how, because we talked about how I was increasing my APV. Well, how did that happen? Well, because I was modeling what Rossum had shared, that if we start off with with maybe add $100,000 to the mortgage balance that an individual had, who's to say that regular mortgage balance was going to cover all their expenses, right? So that became one of the options. Well, let them decide, because they're only just numbers, right? Or someone like when I was learning the script, which was very mechanical for me in the beginning, and it was awkward, and frankly I sucked at it. I just had to be willing to work through the suck, so to speak, right, and get through that as soon as I could. But there was a session that Coach Terry Garvey and James Leeper were involved in, and I remember this like it was yesterday. But they were talking about how to personalize when you got to the age part, right? And I love that because they really made an emotional connection. And the way I was able to do that was, don't tell me that you're 40, 50, 60 years old when I'm 71 years young. There's no way. Yeah, the numbers don't add up, right? You don't disagree with that, do you? And they go, no, we love it. We love it. That's great. That's just a couple examples.
Well, that's great. Plugging in, hearing something. You've been amazing at this. Hearing a tip. We just had Misty Hutton, a new top producer from the Matthews organization, over on our huddle up. You heard her say how she locks down her appointment. And James, you were saying before, it resonated with Sal. It clicked for him, and you incorporated it into your phone presentation after that, and your lockdown rate improved, right?
Up to about 90% now.
That's amazing, right? And so you've been a great example of that, of just doing those little things and figuring it out. And that's why, James, earlier in introducing you, is we were shocked when you told us about, that you do appointments over Zoom and WhatsApp and Duo. And we were like, what's Duo? I mean, you already knew how to do it. That's great.
Well, it's learning and adapting what you got to do. Thank you.
Absolutely. For me, one of the things that I remember is in my building, right? When I first started recruiting, the process of interviewing was kind of uncomfortable for me. And, I heard Kevin Purdy did it because we did 3 ways. But again, it wasn't necessarily, he had a very distinct way of connecting with people that was different from me. But I went to the SoundCloud audios, I went to the building breakout sessions at conference. And I, for example, one that I transcribed was Marshall Wayland, and at the time, Rita Law, doing a breakout session. And I transcribed that what the questions were that they asked in the interview. And then I started incorporating that. And then I would hear another audio and I incorporate, and then I came up to what was comfortable for me. And just, I implemented it, and I kept doing more and more interviews, and just got better at that. And now, we get to the modeling part, and then the teaching is now I've got agents listening to my 3 ways and coaching them on their questions. It's not to say my way is exactly the way, but it's bringing in the learning from the other sources, doing it, trying it, making adjustments and going on that way. One of the other things that Jeff Olson talks about in his book is this idea of, planting a seed, the cultivation to the harvest.
Yeah.
Heard this before about everybody wants to go from planting the seed to harvest, right? So the new agent that gets one batch of leads and expects to have, turn that into 20 appointments, right? And then they're disappointed when it doesn't happen. I mean, they literally been on the phone for, maybe a week. And James, that the idea of cultivation resonated with you. Tell us about how, his lessons of spending time in the cultivation is something you've seen in your journey or those of your agents.
Yeah, it's really, we talk about a lot here about self-development, but it's also soul or soil development, however you want to pronounce it. Depends on if you're from Texas or Connecticut, I guess, how you pronounce that word. But it's a little bit of both. It's both soul and SOIL as well, because it's all about what we take in and what we're listening to. And so that's what, waters the plant. You don't pour, the wrong poison on the plant and expect it to keep growing, right? So it's the same thing with ourselves, and realizing, just like Sal was saying, hey, I was terrible at phone calls at the very beginning. Hey, guess what? Congratulations. We all were, right? Mm-hmm. You got to start out someplace, right? Mm-hmm. But what do you listen to? What do you cultivate that soul with? What do you water that and nurture it with? Is listening to sound clouds, or listening to, now everything's on recorded, so you can go watch and listen to the recordings. So it's all about what we're taking in, because what maybe, I don't know, somebody may have said it a long time ago about, giving somebody a little bit of a guilt trip a little bit if they don't show up for an appointment, right? They may have, I don't remember. But when Misty said it on our team huddle up call, it was like it went off for Sal. So it's always, that's why they have these Monday calls, and you're probably, each mentor in the Symmetry world out there has a different day that they do their own calls. But that's why you've got to stay plugged into that system, is because you'll hear it from somebody that says it one way and it won't really click, or maybe you were in that zone of, you had a distraction, you didn't hear it the way it was said, or whatever the case may be. But it's just staying, in that zone. And that's what, to me, is killer about what Casey and them are doing, hiring Brian Williamson to come in here. I mean, we were at AO boot camp, and, I'm sitting there going, okay, that was the quickest 4 hours that went by, was sitting there listening to him talk about our little mountain guy climbing up and how you go from different levels. But he just makes it fun. And that's what we try to do here. But you get better and better on each call that you make. That goes into our 4 cornerstones about the massive action, right? So the more calls you make, the better you get. The better you get at pivoting on what somebody says. So it's just and people, they get all upset, but you think about a dentist, and he can't even, start dentistry until after he's gone through and got that degree, right? So he didn't learn it. He wasn't good right at the very beginning. I don't want a fresh dentist working on me right away, right? So it's the same thing here. You've got to cultivate that. You've got to dig in, learn, I think it's John Maxwell talks about learning your craft, and all of these people that write these books are all about the same thing. You've got to cultivate that, be around the people, and take those little things from each person that may say it a little bit differently, but it might just be the right time for you.
Hey, James, how about the association as being part in Imelda, association being part of that cultivation? Because, we just got back from Charlotte, these Prosperity 2021 tours and stuff. And here we've got all these people, you agency owners, Imelda and James, that have got a PhD on getting things done. And we have the opportunity to actually talk. And how are you doing this? A Harrison Zipkin, that he's not an agency owner yet, but he's got all these apps that, that he's able to churn. Well, how are you doing that? And they're more than open to share that with you, or, a Scott Forehand, or whoever it might be, or Ruth Slingo, where, she's, I'm talking about, well, how are you growing a team? And she's talking about touch points and developing the morning calls. And these are all effective tools to put in place. To me, that's all about cultivation. What do you think, Imelda?
No, I absolutely agree. It's could take a long time. In fact, Jeff says you need to stay in the process, right? We hear that on, we encourage new agents, don't quit. Why? Because the key is those things that we do over time. You've got to have the time. That's the period of cultivation, right? And you just can't quit. But if we think of it as, in a more positive way of saying it, stay in the process. He says that for anything, on average, be successful at anything, and he's being very general here, takes 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years of those little disciplines. And the reason that he calls this the slight edge, right, is because when you made the decision, I need to mow the lawn, I don't feel like making dials, but you made the decision to make an hour's worth of dials, right? Didn't impact your business, tremendously in that afternoon. Maybe you booked 1 or 2 appointments, right?
Right.
One still needs to get mowed. It didn't make a big impact. But when you make those decisions over time, it adds up. And anybody who's on this call, heard the leaderboards before. And I was really excited about, there's a lot of new names on the producers leaderboards and stuff, but there are some people come in here and they're just rocket ships, right? They go, you're here, they're like on the Purdy, we hear Harrison Zipkin had 2 bad weeks and then boom, he was like a top producer, right? And some people are like that. I wasn't one of them, right? I was a good producer and I got good at my craft. I was a good, steady producer, but I was never the rock star. I don't have the title of top producer, right? I really admire that, elite producer. But here's the thing. I've been here now, 6 years, two as a producer, 4 in building a team. And guess what? Jeff Olson's right. Look where I am. I'm a regional agency director, knocking on the 120 door. And it isn't because I was a rock star. It's because of those little decisions I made along the way. And sometimes it was difficult, right, to keep in the game. But I always believe in that forward motion, right? The forward motion. What did you do today to advance your business forward? If you were sick, you still listen to a call. Right? If it was a day you had to do family thing, maybe you listened to a call on your earbuds. Maybe it was you read a book. Maybe you called and associated with somebody you want to model or something like that. So just to kind of wrap it up, we're at the 2:30 mark. Sal, any final thoughts on the slight edge, on what that means to you as you're a key leader here, you're building your team, you're learning those things you need to do to get better at recruiting. What final thoughts do you have on the slight edge, the concept of doing those little disciplines over and over a long period of time that you want to share with everyone?
Thanks, Imelda. In the way of a question, what if, because this is what the slight edge is to me, is if learning one concept would help you basically achieve whatever you wanted in life, whatever that might be, right? Whether it was difficult or not, would you be willing to do it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Would you be willing to do the things that you don't feel like doing in a given moment and decide, you know what, I'm going to take action. I'm going to make that decision now to do it. And realize that decision constantly and consistently can absolutely change your life, and not only your life, but the life of everyone around you, whether it be your immediate family or whether it be your team. Because to me, our team is an extension of our family. Yeah. Would you be willing to do it? And to me, the answer is, yeah, let's go with what may not be easy. It may be easy, but it's also easy to put off. Let's not put it off. Let's do it now.
Awesome. That's awesome. Sal. Thank you. I hope we're recording that because I want to make a meme of that. That's great. Thanks, Sal. James, what is your final thoughts about the principles? And we just touched on a few of them because we didn't have enough time, but it's a fabulous book we recommend. What principles of that slight edge, most resonate with you that you want to kind of leave everybody with?
We talk about in anything we do in life, whatever it was from whatever job you had before, you always wanted to have that edge, right? You wanted to be able to, have a little bit more knowledge so you could, edge others out or whatever whatever competitive spirit you have or inside. But, one of the things that he talks about is, what actions are you doing today to move you towards success? Because, the way I look at it is if we're not moving forward, we're probably moving backwards. Your life is not really like you're on this flat line here. I mean, it's either if your feet are moving the right direction, you're probably want to move up. And if you're not, you're probably sliding backwards a little bit. So it's just those little things. I mean, it took me 1.5 years to get to agency owner. I think you said 11 months, but I wish it was 11 months, but it was actually 1.5 years. Yeah, but the cool thing to me is it's looking at people, Winnie Brown's been here for, 6 years. I think that is so cool that she stuck in there long enough, right? And kept doing the system, stayed in touch with Kevin, and all that, and got through it. Then you have a person like a Scott Forehand who comes in here and does it in 8 months, and it makes you throw up, right? It makes you sick. But it's like, it's your race. It's not everybody else's, it's your race. So you have to be patient with yourself and go, okay, just get better. Tom Deutsch was the same way, 7 years, but now he's an agency owner. Now his volume, I got to hang out with him some in Asheville, get to know him better, had a great time and conversations with him, and just going, what did you do, Tom? And he's like, I just stayed, knowing that it's still out there for me, right? It still went through some personal struggles that I guess we all call that life, right? I mean, whether it's a heart attack or broken femur, life happens, right? So it's just hanging in there, the old Southern expression, like a hair in a biscuit, to just hang in there, to keep making it through, to get to that end point, not looking at your obstacles up close, but just going, okay, I know that obstacle's out there. Look by that and go like a Les Brown saying, you got to be hungry, right? You got to be hungry to keep that drive and determination to keep going. So that's what it is for me.
That's awesome. I think if we could, at the end of the day, just give ourselves congratulations and a pat on the back for, did you make a positive decision today, whatever it is, and then repeat that tomorrow. It can be very, very little, because in my experience, I didn't do anything remarkable. I just kept moving forward. And I see that in you, James. I see that in Sal and the rest of our team. And I'm really, really grateful to you. I'm so excited. We're really growing. And then here with Symmetry, what's ahead? I'm not really thinking about the results. I'm just figuring on, what do I got to do today to get a piece of that gold in the more gold in the dirt.
That's right.
So again, it's still, even where I am and where I want to go, it's just focusing on what do I have to do today. I'm really glad you guys are my team. I see Todd back there to kind of close us out. Todd.
And you guys did an absolutely amazing job, Sal and James. I've gotten to speak to you a couple times, but never hear you teach and speak. And the comment section is exploding. My cell phone has got text messages coming in left and right, and so much gratitude for what you all poured into this call. And Imelda, you are extraordinary, and your ability to focus on today and the process. I know you lovely people out there get sick and tired of me and Brandon talk about Nick Saban and University of Alabama football team, but what Nick Saban has accomplished is simply that. It's all about the process, year in, year out, day to day. And Imelda is a true superstar, and what she's done to not only grow herself, but if you guys could see the one-on-one conversations that we have at the home office with Imelda and how much pride and love she has for her team. And the fact that it's never about herself. It's about, I want you to understand what Sal did this week. I want you to understand what James is doing out there. I want you to understand what these people that I've been so blessed to be a part of an agency with at this point, the lives they're changing. And that shows us the heart of a leader and the heart of somebody that truly cares about their people and understands that we all rise by lifting others. And I just want to say thank you three for pouring into us today and doing such a phenomenal job. Forever grateful for you, and buckle up, guys. We're just getting started. Things are just getting good. And we can't wait to share on some even more exciting future success plans that we have for everybody involved. So thank you, everybody. Can't wait to see you again next week.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Todd. Thank you. Thanks, Imelda.